Hello, hello, hello! I am Kasasagi Usagi, and I am here with more Pillars of Eternity. I think we are hitting the end game, but I don't rightfully know. I know this pit means something, so...
If this doesn't inspire faith in the gods, I don't know what will.
So let's just, grab these souls, or whatever this shit is, because it seems important, and jump into the pit! A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Boudica. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but it raises goose flesh along your arms. The wind carries a whisper low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. I'm jumping into the pit. You jump, trusting in the promises of the gods and the power of the souls to bear you safely down. The sudden drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can still feel that you are falling faster than you should. The essence following you is strong, but chaotic. You find yourself drifting towards the wall. Mind the wall, Kasagi. That'd leave all kinds of marks. I'm gonna do a sick flip. You steer yourself to the safety of an open space. You manage to spread your arms and legs into an X, setting your position and the rate of your descent. You reach the court of penitence, millennia-old stones safely under your feet. Your party is considered high level for this content. I'm going to continue doing what I am doing. But thank you for your consideration. It doesn't want me to clown on the final boss. Oh, my game is all screwy because of a Phoenix Wright. I didn't even realize that. Unlock that. Ooh. Oh, I'll have to remember to fix that after every stream. That's better. That's better. Okay.
So expansive, it seems a world unto itself.
Oh shit!
In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through. Now barely a
we'll
speck
replay
of
that
light
because we
like
missed it
some
while I was
distant
futzing
star,
around.
alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach.
Let's try that
After
again.
what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through. Now barely a speck of light like some distant star, alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
So, I got the achievement that I had finished chapter 3 by stepping into this pit. So, we are on the final chapter with the end game close approaching. Give you some of them athletics, my boy. This is not the party I wanted, but it is the party I have. You can have more athletics too. Okay. Here we go.
Well, that went better than I expected.
I think that statue of Boudica was watching us soil ourselves on the way down.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then.
Something over there.
I knew there'd be traps.
That's it!
Parathis!
Okay, good. We need to be careful though,
On the
because I
hunt.
don't doubt there's more traps. Okay.
Yeah?
I'll stay out of sight.
No, I need everybody. Everybody's gotta come.
Laying low.
Ooh, big boy.
Had to try to.
Hi?
What?
Yes?
All right. This looks like... Perhaps not. It was giving me vibes from the very first temple we went into, like at the very start of the game. But I may be misremembering.
Fire shows me something new.
Wow, the bear walked right over it.
Finish them! Oh?
Okay, grab these.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places. That's settled.
A pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it.
How may I help?
Let's have it out! That's it!
I shall steal. I shall.
A simple test.
I shall. Aye. Legion.
Let's have it! A simple test. That's settled.
Certainly.
The fire shows me something new. Okay, we want to go down there first, for sure. Oh, never mind. A column of Adra rises above you, stoic and silent. Its rigid layers a measuring stick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a dim, flickering flame, all but extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. At your approach, the flame seems to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from you melt away, and you are bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade as though you had adjusted to its intensity, and where it was, Aorva seeps into existence, an idyllic shade hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somehow different to you now, a slight stoop to her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There is a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy where flames once lapped unhealed even in death.
So my love returns to me at long last.
Oh boy.
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here?
Let's see. It would seem that I have unfinished business here.
I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time? I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Theos diverted them from the cycle. He seeks to empower Boudica and to blame Animensi for the damage he has caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
You knew me when Theos did. There's something I needed to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about that lifetime my soul can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I'm running out of time. I see moments from that life, a view of the Inquisition of Theos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? It's been better. I'm doing my best. Aorva's mouth tightens and her brow furrows, a look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as if looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
Thank you. I will take a sip. The gods aren't real? What?
Huh. I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief. She's not serious.
Wait, then how can that be? That can't be true, after all we've seen and done.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
Oh, Durance.
Nonsense! Clearly she has not been on the receiving end of a god's ire. She'd know how real the gods can be.
Yeah, they have to be real.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
That I can believe. Who created these gods and for what?
They were conceived by Engwith, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Theos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwithans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
I have noticed, while there is a god for the wheel and god of death and all, there is no god that created the world. That hasn't been an absence in their lore, and it didn't go unnoticed, because I definitely don't know everything about the gods, but it was something that I was aware of. Oh, it was Zath all along. This is why you started your own faith?
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
Oh. How did you discover this?
The Nguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
Later on, after I left the Order, a few Nguithians found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. Is it true, what you taught?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Evora scans the audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interest in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
She looks to Adir.
That's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
Oh, Adir. Adir is so faithful.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
She turns her attention to Durance.
Margren set a path for me. She is fickle and cruel, but that is how she teaches. You know nothing of the fires that have shaped me.
And what if the fires themselves were lies? Lies you told yourself to bridge the gap between experience and truth.
Yes, I am. Like, directly after this. Beads of sweat coalesce on Durance's forehead and trickle down the sides of his face in streaming rivets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Her eyes settle on Eloth.
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
Eloth folds his hands behind his back, furrowing his brow.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion. What if neither guide knew the way? How then would you choose a course?
She regards Haravis, and his ears twitch as her eyes fall upon him.
Well, I suppose I would always choose that which makes me stronger. But instead of doing it because Galawain wishes it, I do it merely because I wish it for my own life. Oh, Galawain, know that your humble servant was speaking rhetorically.
Haravis beams a broad smile and suddenly blushes. Quickly bowing his head, you hear him mutter softly, "O Galawain, know that your humble servant was speaking rhetorically."
What if the cycle of birth and death is nothing more than a tool of endless preoccupation?
She faces the grieving mother directly, seeming to see her as she does everyone else. The grieving mother returns Aora's gaze, nodding her head almost imperturbably. For a moment, all is silent. Aorva nods back, seemingly moved by some unspoken understanding. You feel the weight of Aora's translucent eyes upon your soul. What if we can be assured of nothing? Then all we can do is endure. It doesn't seem like they give us much choice in the matter.
The wheel would seem to grant us little choice in the matter. Yet surely we are capable of more than mere endurance. Surely when the truth is laid bare to all, this suffering can truly be overcome. I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
Oof. Even without assurances, there's still truth. A fabricated reason is better than none at all. Ugh. But isn't that why... That's why people have faith. Even if it can't be proven, it's important. Ugh. I don't think it makes much... Well, that's not what I want to answer either. Ask these things not to trouble you, but to show you why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful not even a god can see of it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it? None of these really convey what I want to pick. I think it's important not to take faith away from people, even if it isn't real. No, people need to know things happen for a reason. A fabricated reason is better than none at all.
That is the thinking that has shaped the world, for better or worse. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures, and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
For the first time, hints of doubt trace her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
As she asks, the memory springs to your mind immediately, as though it had just happened. Why did we stay? So the story we have weaved for ourselves is that this woman was our girlfriend who betrayed our master Theos, who we are currently trying to stop, and we turned her in despite everything. And now I have to think of a reason why I did this thing. And none of these are very good answers. have I been a particularly religious person in my playthrough? I did not want to be a villain. Your teachings capture brought me glory. I don't think I had a reason, I just did it. These are hard. I have to craft my end game for a past. I think what she's teaching is bad, though. But I don't know. I don't know. It's not necessarily bad, and I don't think she's forcing it down anyone's throat. Oh, this is so hard. This is my girlfriend. I'm just gonna do it. Your teachings were a threat to all I believed in.
I never wanted that. I had hoped that what I taught would replace your beliefs with something that made you stronger. For many it did. But not all.
Ugh, that made me sound like an asshole. She shakes her head slowly, absently, in search of an answer that never comes. If that is the conclusion people reach once they know everything, then my purpose has been a mistake. That seems like a harsh connection to draw.
Of all that I loved you for, it was your righteousness most of all.
Well, thank you.
You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
You were never going to be able to convince everyone of anything, true or not. There will always be dissent.
I expected dissent. But I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer.
Yeah, I guess she really was trying to dismantle the system. But she put her faith in me, and I believed her to be wrong, and therefore it all fell apart. How messy.
Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
Ooh, I wasn't me who made the choice. I bear no responsibility for it. That's what we've been saying, though, this whole time. Just because my soul did this thing does not... You can't... Ugh. That's been a lot of this game, is that people are judged for what their souls have done in the past, despite them not being the same. It's these lingering memories, but they're not you. It wasn't me who made that choice, and I bear no responsibility for it.
At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish. But now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Theos himself will satisfy your needs.
I think I am all over the place with my answers. My endgame is going to be the worst one.
Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Whitaker is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
Better to be on their side than Wodika's.
Better to be on no side at all.
Oh my god.
Wodika may be the most dangerous of the gods, but make no mistake. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Why don't you repent? You could be free of this place.
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine.
Ah.
There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life. But that trial was my one moment of certainty. Even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right. The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
I don't think I like this woman anymore. This place, Sun and Shadow. What is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I have seen and what others have told me about it. There is only one man who can tell you now, who knows it to a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself, make your own judgments. Better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Adirian? I speak no language now but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Do you know what it is I need from Theos?
I could not say for sure. But you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you. He keeps secrets better than any in this world.
Why has Theos done all this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Wodika. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Theos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Theos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Wodika was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
How can I get to Theos? Tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Aeora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
It is time for me to go.
Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
Jesus, I can strike her down, I think. The gods have given me the souls of the forgiven. If you repent, you could join me with them. Help me strike this final blow against Theos. Your defiance here is an illusion. You are a slave to the gods and bound to their rules, stuck in their system. Your continued existence is proof of the gods' dominion over all of us. If you hadn't planted doubt in my mind long ago, I'd be living a normal life right now. Before I go, I will repay you for this curse. Good Lord. I'm gonna ask her to help me, but I don't think she will.
If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing.
Your defiant, I'm gonna be mean. Your defiance here is an illusion, and you are a slave to the gods, bound to their rules, stuck in their system. Your continued existence is proof of the gods' dominion over all of us. You notice a bond now, one that has always been, an interleaving of her essence with yours at the extremites of your perception. You are tied to this woman's spirit, and you can feel a measure of control over it, as though you were its shepherd. What are you suggesting? I can disintegrate your soul and make you cease to exist. Then I would be no different than the other souls the gods have broken in this place. I do not wish to stop fighting them. You remain here not for the gods, but in hopes of some affirmation of your faith. You are afraid you were wrong. For a long time, Iorva says nothing. Looking at her now as she stares off, the fatigue is unmistakable, as though her life had been some dream from long ago, and her imprisonment a day without end. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps there is a way to end this on my terms. She looks up at you.
I am grateful you came and found me here, no matter the circumstances. You're not exactly who you once were, I have to remind myself. But seeing you one last time, and remembering what we shared, brief as it was better than anything I dared hope for in this place. I suppose I have waited long enough, and I do not wish to delay you any further. Come, let's be done with this once and for all. I am ready.
Alright, goodbye. In your mind's eye, Iorva's soul becomes a doll of parchment. Your focus flies towards the doll in waves of sparks that gather in clusters at its feet. You push harder, and the sparks engorge, dancing upward as flames that climb the base of the doll, curling it, peeling it back the woven fibers, and turning them into a luminescent orange before fading them into the purest black. The doll seems to hang there for a moment, as the last of the parchment is consumed by the last of the flame, leaving only a few tenuously connected strands to hold together its shape, like some intricate work of lace. Iorva tips her head slightly to you, and with the last strands give way, coming apart as the particles of ash that scatter carry on some invisible breeze into nothingness beyond. She is gone.
Yes.
This was a heavy conversation.
Certainly.
I would like to look at this, please. Well, it's not letting me. Let's go back and look at this room. I sure did. She talked shit about the gods. So, I thought she knew what she was talking about, but it was all... It was just a theory she had that she was pushing on
Sharp
people
eyes and keen ears.
that she thought was true. So I don't quite know what to believe, but I think that's the point. All I know is I talked to some gods and I made a deal with them, and I'm not about to reject their existence. That seems like a bad idea.
That's it!
Spot on.
The ancient otter still bears the impression of 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your soul burns with remembered suffering.
Certainly.
You'll be fine.
Quiet.
So nothing there. Okay, I probably have to go down there. Alright, makes sense.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Oh. A lot of bad things are about to happen.
Spot on.
Moe, let's...
That's a little unfair. Okay, I'm gonna go down here.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Hell yes.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
We don't know that for sure. Everyone's got their faith shattered, and I gotta.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
People need to believe in something. The gods, however they came to be, have served that purpose.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking. There won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
He's like, Alice, like, I know you murder a lot, and you can't stop murdering. Someone should fill that role.
This is unexpected coming from you. Why keep it going?
So one way or another, someone will fill that role, and I'd rather it be you.
Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll remember what we've been through. I'll see the Leaden Key transformed into a stronger, better guide for Kith. And I won't make the mistakes Theos did.
I am shocked that we are giving this to Ella, but fuck.
Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
People were starving. They'd have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
He looks at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's also... So those gods that we met were fake gods that were made, and I guess that's where the issue everyone is having is, like, oh, they're not real divinities, they were made by mankind. And that can still be a god. All gods... Well, this is a take, but, like, if you think back in, like, the Greek and the Roman and the Egyptian gods and the Norse gods and the Persian gods, and those were all made up by people and stories and stuff. Gods are only what you put your... Gods only have power so long as people have faith in them. And that's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, and sometimes people need that faith. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to take it away just because it's a man-made ideal or creation doesn't give it any less power if there's people that believe in it. I don't know. People are taking this really hard, and I guess that makes sense, but it's also like those gods still exist, and we still talk to them, and they still have a ton of incredible power. Case in point, the thing that's going with Boudica here. They can still craft miracles. Excuse me. They can still craft miracles. That they were made millennia ago by people doesn't make them any less than what they are. Ugh, it's very frustrating.
When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
What about?
About him going off to war. He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your God, you only get the one. Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his God one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
So if you'd left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bothered thinking about it. I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's and it wasn't my God's. I don't know if it was right, but I couldn't abide what Wydwin was doing to his own. God or not, I don't regret it. Whether Wydwin was Aothis, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. All these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother.
He smiles faintly, and when he breathes, the air seems to flow more freely through his lungs. Do you think he went to Waidwin because of what you said to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
Let's be on our way.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one.
Who else has bullshit to say? I need you to leave is still my favorite.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
You don't have anything to say.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
Yeah?
It's gonna be tough going back to the forest after having seen some of the sights I've seen traveling with you. Years later, I'm gonna look back on this and try and draw a map of how these locations actually connect.
Need something? We can speak another time. Lead the way.
Alright, everyone else is
Oh.
pretty chill, so we shall be going. I think I brought probably the best people too, because the others like Sagani and Palgina, they all believe in gods that are not the 12 or whatever here, so I brought pretty much all my religious fanatics. And I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna save. Well, no, it's already saved. I should camp.
Certainly.
It's very dark
I
in here.
can't see much, but I hear a noise like a pig choking on wet feed. So, I guess Durance is breathing at least.
That's not
Silence
very
surrounds
nice.
me.
Ah.
Oh, full of surprises, aren't you?
Incredible. I knew the builders could work wonders, but this is amazing.
Many spirits stir here, edged with anger, violence.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
Oh my god. All these bodies. Oh, they all got shit on. Oh, only some of them got shit on them.
Finish.
Oh, a dragon. Yeah? Oh. Oh dear. You two need to get over here right now.
Finish that.
No, you're gonna fight that. And dear, you're gonna fight that. Knock it down. There you go. Oh shit, we haven't had a bot in a while. Hell yeah. Let me take care of that. You can get banned. Thank you. Oh yeah?
Certainly.
Oh. Was it at least delicious? Oh no! The shadows in the caravan suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. Yeah. My dad would complain about heartburn a lot. I actually started getting heartburn when I was quite young. We had these, they're called bacon bits, and you put them on like salads. I don't know, they're like, I don't know how to describe them. Bacon, like bacon that's been preserved and diced into these tiny pieces. There was something about the seasoning on them that actually set my entire esophagus on fire. And I was still like, I was in high school, middle school, and I was trying to explain this to my mom, and she was like, "You're fine." And I was like, "No, I am actually dying." I had to come up like 2 or 3 times out of my room and explain how much physical pain I was in before she finally believed me. And it was heartburn. Heartburn at the tender age of 13. It's terrible. You are surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that as soon as as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mist before you clear, just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seeing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Adir's head twists suddenly, as though something has flown in front of his face. What's that? Something whizzes past you, and just as you turn, you catch another whir of movement. Out of the mist splits a shape, small and round. You think you see another, and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes.
Can it be? I never thought I'd see with my very own eyes. Even when you look Weil in the face, you can't know for certain.
He bows his head at the figure. The figure transforms from male to female, from Orlin to Amara, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is the smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing, rushing shapes of the mist converge on the figure, and as they form a spiraling cloud, you realize that they are eyes.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher. A buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways.
This is the man we couldn't talk to in the Sea of Constellations. He and Wodoka were forbidden. But I really wanted to talk to Whale because he's the god of mysteries and stuff, but he was not allowed.
You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes track you even as they circle the god. Have I been here before? Whale giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as God shifts from one form to the next. You search for answers to your past. You search for answers to your past has led you to another mystery, and one grander still. My goal now is to see the souls Theos has trapped. Yes, but what would you do with them?
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
I learned from Gallowayne, Margarin, and Abaddon that I can use them to fortify the souls in the Direwood.
A mightier quarry for a more glorious battle. Yet the hunter takes the rack of antlers and the string of fangs for the memory of hunting the beast, tracking it through the wilds and grappling with it at last. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
The clouds break, and the torrent of rain washes Whale's features clean. His blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not co-assign the souls of the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. Now scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again, new answers to new riddles. Behind him, the sudden downpour has carved new caves into the cavern. I am not smart enough to talk to this man, but what would happen to the souls?
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery.
What end would that serve?
No end, Watcher. That is the purpose.
Oh, goodbye, my dude.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. So he is giving me a choice. I could betray Margarin, Gallowayne, and Abaddon, and scatter those, like, I could take all the skulls and smash them like a piñata and just scatter them across the land. Why? Who knows? Because it might be fun. It might be fun to do that, says Whale. God. Absolute
They
madness.
shall see nothing while I see much.
A lone segment of the bridge rises over the ruins of an ancient city. It looks stable enough, but the wide gap leaves little room for error. Aloth gets a running start and leaps over the gap. However, Aloth cries upon landing and collapses on the other side in a tangle of limbs. Well, I don't know why we let Aloth do that, but we did. Oh, more camping supplies. This was all for camping supplies, huh? He did break his foot. Oh, he only twisted his ankle. He's fine. He'll be fine. Shake it off, my boy. I actually think... I actually do have to keep going this way. Hello, I have a soul to talk to. Oh. Mm.
Let's burn the. Here's a.
That's not very helpful.
Indeed. Let's go. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's go down. Oh, we cannot this way no further. All right.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Keep accidentally hitting my inventory.
Oh?
That's not very helpful.
Yes.
That's not very helpful.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
No, there's still more here. Wait, hold on. Or maybe there isn't. Oh, I guess I can't get to those rooms. No, I guess not. Hold on. Nope. Okay. Understood.
Laying low.
I just don't trust that there aren't a billion traps all over the floor. Deus.
Are you ready to take the oath?
to spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen.
Yeah.
You give me any more gifts and people will start thinking you're playing favorites.
I would never do that, dear.
You give me any more gifts and people will start thinking you're
I
playing
am trusting
favorites.
you to remain loyal to the gods in this.
Yes.
If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Oh.
Sorry, I don't call forth the Stelgar just to haul your garbage.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
They're getting real sassy about having to loot.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was.
I am taking shit off of corpses.
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
We should save again, so we don't have to listen to all of that. When I inevitably get destroyed during this final boss fight, I can probably stop. Oh, congratulations, Adir. Oh, I also leveled up. Hold on.
Certainly.
You come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with ardra and trimmed with copper. At the far end of a great pillar of ardra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours, and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Theos, a look of concern on his face as he notes your approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotions barely in check. Was Aorva telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
That's not an answer, Theos. What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
That machine behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
All these statues, what are they of?
They are monuments to Utica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
Was the entire Inquisition based on a lie?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
That is also not an answer. You are shaking now, having lost all patience for tact. No more evasions. You have to know everything you believed, everything you have done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said the gods would absolve my sins? Theos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
With Theos' every word, you find yourself losing control of a boiling cauldron of rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness until you can take it no more. Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months.
You will
return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
His eyes linger on you, and there is no mistaking the threat behind it, and your rage shrinks at the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with dried blood of thousands. You do not ask your question again.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
She loved you.
Then she should have obeyed.
Well,
I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Blind obedience is a lot to ask someone with a mind of their own.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own?
Oh, it's a little bit of column A and B.
You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Adir frowns, irritated.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
They made cake. Hard to blame people for losing faith when it's the gods who are misbehaving.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. What of you, Orlan? My agents tell me you are far from home, both in distance and in years. Have your friends proven a worthy distraction from the pain of ostracism?
Ostracism? Is that the name for the groin rash your mother gave me? Don't fool yourself, old man. You know nothing about me.
Enlighten me, then. Is it Galawain you serve, or is it Wau?
I give both gods their due service, but I am servant to neither.
But such difficulty on the way. If you had only accepted that perhaps you were fit to serve neither god, just as you were unfit to serve your tribe, you might have saved yourself the trouble.
Woofa doofa.
My tribe was unfit to serve me. And yes, I'm not fit to serve any god. I need only serve myself. Can you claim that, Theos? Are you your own master, or are you just Woodika's wet nurse?
I serve all people, better than they will ever know. Better to live a competent servant than an incompetent master.
Durin stares at Theos with a beast snarl. Theos watches him calmly.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain, 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
There was a message there, whether she meant it or not.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox.
Oh.
State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belongs to the gods, in my hand to their service. And I'm going to purge it of your stain.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
No. I've risen above them. I'll take the leaden key and lead in a way that you, who remained nothing more than a slave to the gods, never could.
A leader without insight, directing an organization that does not question. Quite a vision, Initiate. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
What do you know of our business?
You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours.
Our business will conclude when you have told me all that I wish to know. Oh, wait. One of us is going to die in this room. You may as well admit your lie to me before that.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
I believe that the gods are real. You convinced me once that the gods would absolve me of my guilt. There is no one to absolve either of us for our crimes.
Guilt is a disease of the mind. If the mind no longer believes it is guilty, then that is as good as absolution. The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
Nothing could justify these atrocities.
That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
You led them to overcome their nature?
No person can overcome his instincts by himself. Only with the aid of a god, someone he will respect and listen to, even against his every impulse, does he stand a chance. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness.
This is so complicated.
No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to
Because
dust.
both can coexist. You cannot believe in the gods. You can believe in these man-made gods. You can believe in anything. And there's no way to express that in this game. And I have to, like, decide. I really only have a choice of, like, you created these false gods and you're wrong and you've ruined lives. And then people don't need gods. And it's very frustrating. You're, and I don't understand how it all sort of like mashes up with Boudica and what he's actually doing. Unless he's going to make her the one true god. And in that case, that is bad. Your way comes at too great a cost.
It is the least of all possible costs. Are you so dense as to think a faithless world would not be ridden with calamity? All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You are blind to think that yours is the only way. You are controlled by your own doubts.
We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Boudica. Your servant calls for aid.
Oh.
Lock 10!
Oh, fucking hell. Okay. Bear has to take on one of these. A deer has to take on the other. You need to deal with him. Okay. And then the rest of us have to sort of deal with this situation. Are tentacles gonna get us out of the last mess? Oh, fuck. Oh, the tentacles did manage to show up.
That's not very helpful.
Don't hurt the bear.
I thought.
I need the protective barrier. Fucking hell.
Ulu set.
Oh, you need to still be dealing with this man. Come on, come on. Shh.
Enough.
Oh. Yeah, you need to still fight this man.
These ones are in for a wallop!
Nice. Okay. We need to do... You need to still fight this man, but the rest of you need to start fighting this other man. Do a big knocky down. Okay. Easy, no problem.
Lavaru, beyond seek!
Endurance? Maybe you should actually be doing something. Actually, just kidding. You need to be dealing with... Can you please knock this thing down?
That's not very helpful.
And I need you to actually... Dogs to... Ooh, that's bad. Okay. Come back here. Come back, come back.
Moe X.
Eleth is about to fall over. He needs to get away from that.
Let's have it out! Curses!
Oh.
She's dying. There's nothing I can do about that, I don't think.
Curses! What?
Here we go. Making progress.
Love.
Please die faster. Holy shit.
How may I help?
Are that worth it?
These are.
Lavaru beyond seek.
Tentacles. Tentacles, Ella. That's the only way.
Ulu Sen!
Here's a
Yes!
Durance!
Oh, Darren's went down. Oh, a lot of people went down. Okay. It is all magic spells.
Hey.
Yeah? Ah! Ulu Thed!
Nice. Okay, and then I need you to make a spear because that attack is
Aye.
fucking powerful. And
I
just
shall
go
deal with this.
hog wild. Oh, big spear. Yeah, now go crazy. Tentacles and slime! At your feet rests the body of Theos, hollow, the dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden now smoothed across his color-drained face. His soul remained still for the moment, defenseless, its energy expanded in defeat. It lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
I hope this is the end, but what's to stop him from being born again with the same ill intent? And before you suggest the option, no, I'm not eating his soul. I'll put almost anything in my mouth, but not that.
It's true. The greatest powers we've had in this game: tentacles, teddy bear, slime, and dragons.
Thousands of souls he has tortured. Would that he could live those sufferings 1,000 times himself.
Some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do, and ask yourself if it's worth it.
All those lives. And at the end of them, he was no better than the very people he sought to guide. A pity he would ever have to face that realization again.
With a deep breath, you plunge into Theos' soul, and where in Brackenbury it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it's expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Engwith as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like an age, rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light in the end of the long tunnel, expanding slowly at first and then quickly as you near. You come out in the room you are standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards a great green Arda pillar and the machine that encases it. Theo stands at the machine, and you are one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at the faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with a somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back towards the machine, your breath constricted beneath the weight of your unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to settle out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of an accelerating machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc onward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one, the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into gray heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above at the Ardra pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous, like some immense chrysalis, suspended in slow rotation as though it were being spun from arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, but no longer rotating so bright that you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement and look back up to see it melt the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light, bright as the sun itself, then fades into darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Theos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Theos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold of it, and you are able to do with it as you please. So we are going to return it to the cycle. We can tear his soul apart. We can banish his soul to Breath-Eman. We can destroy all memories contained within, or we can tear his soul apart. But different. We do it with vengeance or do it with peace. I can't remember where Breath-Eman is. I would have to Google it because I don't remember. Breath-Eman. Oh, Breath-Eman is an ancient Engwithian ruin beneath. Oh, that's where we are. We don't want to do that. I think we need to destroy him. I think we'll just destroy all the memories within so it can't be done again? No, actually, I think his soul does need to be torn apart. I do not envy you, Theos. I, of all people, realize the sway memories can hold, and it is time you were granted peace. You reach out for Theos' soul, and you can feel its frailty and defeat, its texture like a coarse, threadbare cloth at the brink of disintegration. You insulate yourself between the threads, pushing and weaving apart, unraveling the stitching until it's bereft of structure, a formless heap bound together by nothing at all. In its midst, you dedicate your focus to a single idea. The idea is shatter. You concentrate, and as you concentrate, you feel a force building within your soul, an outward pressure that strains against containment, threatening to rupture your spirit. When you can contain it no more, you transfer it into Theos' soul all at once, and release it there. A detonation of will that expands in all directions, driving out the remnants of his essence and scattering it into nothingness. You can feel his presence no more. It is the stillness that follows. A single word echoes through your mind, a word that spoke to you when you were one with Theos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine. I think he had to be destroyed, because you leave him here with his god, and that's super bad. You leave him as it is and just return him to the cycle, and he risks doing it again, and again, and again. As you approach the machine, the path underfoot suddenly changes into a cobbled road. If you hadn't experienced visions like this already in Tir Avan, you'd be tempted to believe that the machine has sucked you into it and deposited you into the middle of nowhere. The sun blazes overhead, and the rolling meadows and thick forests on either side of the road could be anywhere in the Direwood. A shrill cackle turns your head. Oh. Standing next to you is a malnourished man clad in threadbare loincloth and manacles. His entire body is stripped with lash marks, and there are scarred pits where his nose and ears should be. He stinks of stale sweat and unwashed filth. You notice someone wandering the road, but the figure's back is to you. The scarred slave has your attention for now.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrat House, those preening soldiers with more taste for silk than steel, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response.
Oh, Skeen. Please, go on.
And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
I do believe it was nothing. Havers clears his throat and quietly says, Five copper says he's about to sell you on his own agenda. Only Whale knows what that might be. Hadros grins and leans in closer, whispering, If I were you, I'd tell him the other gods offers us a dozen newborn lasses, and see if he can match that and haggle from there. Given the breadth of iron and manacle, it's amazing that he can raise his bone-thin arm, but he does, and he points to the person walking the other way along the road.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
Are you fucking serious? You get a better look at the lone figure and realize that she's wearing robes, tattered and singed, but not fine nonetheless. On her head is a silhouette of a broken crown. She continues walking, her pace slow but determined. He wants me to serve Wodika? Who?
Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Wodika with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
God, you can go full evil. I have been working against Wodika this whole time. Why would she thank me now after I've defeated her most loyal servant? The ragged hole in Skarn's face wrinkles with disgust. Loyal and weak, Theos proved his inadequacy when he failed to anticipate you. A plan exposed is worse than none at all. But you have proven resourceful, equal to the schemes of gods. Wodika has a long memory watcher for both friends and foes, and she keeps her oaths. I will not be taking Wodika's side because I have been a good bean and I will continue to be a good bean despite all the thievery and murder. I have been loyal and honest. And I will not be helping Wodika, but I am psyched out of my mind to see where that sort of ending leads. I wish I had saved. Um, what do you mean by favored? The recipient of Wodika's blessings. She has always had a place for mortals of particular merit. If you help her now, she will become the most powerful of all gods, and you will be the one who made her so. Think of the lifetimes of reward you would reap. The only reward I wish is the joy of pulling bloody shards of her broken crown from my staff when I have finished with her trial. Skane turns his flinty eyes on Durrance. So says your companion who's been abandoned by his own god. Do you really trust him to make alliances for you? Helping Wodika would mean that the secrets of the gods stay hidden. He rubs his hands together, his black eyes gleaming. Safely hidden, yes. From the violent overlords who would cease to fear punishment in the next life. From the heavy-handed masters who would answer to no one. The world needs some schemes, or are the souls of the kissed so pure that you would snap the tenuous threads that blind society? As unsavory as it sounds, there is wisdom in this. Aloth rubs his chin. Remember the riots in Defiance Bay? What kind of madness would people like that reach without the confines of promises of the gods? Skane takes a bundle at his feet and hefts the burden onto his back. I've explained the alternative, Watcher. Continue as a pawn of the gods or a partner of one. At the other end of the road, the figure stops. She turns her head just enough to look over her shoulder. Her face is mostly hidden, but one merciless eye peers at you from a cheek of rippled, scorched flesh. I won't help you. I won't.
You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
I'm going to honor my pact with Abaddon. He continues down the road, and when the sun suddenly drops below the horizon, it plunges you into momentary darkness. You come to your senses in front of the machine. All these evils we've seen going the way back to the Saints' War, that was all Wodika. Imagine if she was stronger on top of it all. So you really do get a choice from every god, even the ones that you didn't get to choose. So here's what I'm going to do. I will save here. I have 15 minutes. I don't know how long these endings are going to be. Yeah, so we ended up getting something from every god. Oh shit, everyone's got shit to say. Oh, not athletics. There you go. Yes, that is what it seems to be. I need more. Everybody has an opinion.
Astounding. I always knew the Leaden Key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now, you're in the middle of something even bigger. With a decision that will affect millions. This is beyond either of us. The certainty of the gods is a mercy. Power like this is a heavy burden. Just look at how it crushed Theos.
He levels his gaze at you.
Perhaps he was right to surrender it to Wodika.
Maybe so.
It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
So this is what I'm going to do. Because I'm pretty sure the game ends here. I'm going to do the decision that I agreed to do with the gods Abaddon, what's his face, and Margaret. Gallowayne. Sorry, my boy. Gallowayne, Margaret, and Abaddon. And we'll see the game out to its conclusion. But tomorrow, we'll do all the gods' endings and kind of see where that goes. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It has been a little bit confusing, and the answers hasn't been super clear, but he has been there from the beginning. They looked for the secrets to the universe and found that there were none, and they were very discouraged by that. Because they wanted to know where they came from and who created the world, and there just were no answers to be had. And sometimes things just are what they are. So they did all that stuff and created those with like the strongest souls became the gods that we know of today. It seems like they made those gods and then but these gods aren't doing they're just not enough, and society is still sort of the way it is. And so I don't know. It's not crystal clear. Anyway, let's talk to everybody else.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing.
Don't talk to me like that.
But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
I got justice.
Not many can say that these days. Not with the gods using the world to settle their problems. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
Yes.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd find a way to give them the courage to face it. Not because they think there's some god looking out for them, but because they've just got it in them. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
He winks.
Theos may be gone, but his crimes, the wounds he has inflicted, remain. Yet before you lies an opportunity to heal, to restore. Only through the healing of families, repairing the bonds between parent and child, reforging the shattered links between generations, can the Deerwood be knit whole once more.
I'm not sure I agree with all your batshit logic.
I cannot stop you, Watcher, nor can I accomplish what must be done. But I beg you to use this rare chance for mercy and restoration. That is all.
Fuck off. She instantly dropped my least favorite, like,
Victory looks good
immediately.
on you. There was a blur about your soul that lingers no more. Seems putting Theos to rest has given you some measure of inner peace. Of course, now you need to decide what to do with these trapped souls.
But I speak out of turn. He says with a blush. I think so. This is your decision, my Watcher friend. You should trust your own instincts. I am honored to have been a part of your journey regardless of what happens next. Grieving Mother wants me... So if you remember correctly, the choices were... Restore... Hyleia wants to restore everything to the way it was. So the souls that have been trapped, no matter for how long, go back into the bodies that they're supposed to go back into. So that means that you have hollowborn infants that have never known anything, who somehow lived past infancy, that are now either toddlers or teenagers. They suddenly have their soul, bam, back in their bodies. And you just put everything the way that it should be. But there's a huge disconnect between those bodies and those souls and the amount of time that has passed. I want to do a rest while I explain this. And that's what Grieving Mother wants. Grieving Mother wants put the souls back in their body. But I genuinely think it's too late for some of these people. And that is not going to actually fix anything. And it's going to actually make the grief worse. Because you can't put the soul of an infant back into a teenager. Like, it's just... There's too much disconnect. So that's what she wants. She wants everything to go back to the way it was. And then you have Abaddon, Margarine, and Gallowayne, who want you to take these souls that we're about to get and put them into other people to make the souls stronger, so something like this doesn't have a chance of happening again. Then you have Skane, the Ocean one, and somebody else. And they want you to take the souls and throw them in the trash can because they're broken and worthless. And the world continues on without them. And then you have Beryl, who wants you to take all the souls and put them back into the cycle of life. And they will be reborn eventually, but the wheel must continue spinning, and all those souls need to go back into the wheel. And then you have Whale, and he wants you to scatter that shit like confetti and see what happens. Or, and my final choice, and this is presumably the bad choice, is to give them all to Boudica, and she becomes the most powerful god. So I have a choice from everybody. And I don't think I'm missing anything. Restore souls, make them stronger, back into the wheel, throw them away. Yeah, that was the 4 main choices, and I just got 2 more. So we're going to do the choice that I originally agreed upon with Margarine, and then tomorrow, because I don't actually know how long this is going to take, and then tomorrow we'll do all the other choices as something to do. And I don't know how long that will take. Every time I click this button, I think my game's going to crash. With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Theos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You have seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it will be a simple matter to influence the direction, though as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. There is a shrieking of stone grinding against stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before the souls will be spent into the Ardra vein. This will be your only chance at redirecting them. Send the souls back. This is Burrell's, Hylael, Skarn. This is Abaddon's. Disperse the souls to an unknown location. Boudica. So this is Abaddon's, Margarine's, and distribute the essence to existing souls in Direwood to strengthen them. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you can hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the essence gathered in Sun and Shadow was sent across Deerwood to meld with and galvanize the souls of its people. In the days that followed, Deerwoodans, confronting adversity and expecting to be at the mercy of their own weakness, instead found strength and the will to persevere. The aggrieved found themselves able to carry on after their losses. The desperate found new reasons to hope. And the new reasons to hope were many, for Widewind's legacy had come to an end after 15 years. Hollow births ceased in the Deerwood, and a country that only days ago had seemed on the brink of collapse was suddenly on the path to a recovery, a fitter, more resilient country in the preferred image of the god of the hunt. Though you had killed Lord Radric in his throne room, so strong was his drive to rid his land of Eothasians that he returned to life as a death guard,
What?
a deathless crusader for his brutal cause. With the remains of his humanity stripped away, Radric came to see all the people of Gilded Vale as worshippers of Eothas, and one day he led his forces into the village personally to see them all purged from his lands. Gilded Vale was left a hollow shell, its buildings ruined, and its people
Oh no!
Even travelers and would-be squatters knew better than to take refuge inside its borders. Lord Radric returned to Radric's Hold, where he remained, keeping eternal watch over his barren domain.
Holy shit.
Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in unraveling Widewind's legacy. They were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. Having seen both the ills and the promise of animancy, internally the Knights quietly began a more cautious exploration of the new science. Depleted in numbers but bolstered by their newly forged stock of soul-augmented weaponry and a small contingent of forged knights, the Knights of the Crucible would soon become an order few in Defiance Bay would dare to cross. But the opportunity to build upon their newfound power proved too great a temptation for the High Justice. What was at first a measured approach to animancy soon gave way to a rapid buildup of armaments. The High Justice would eventually seize control of the city for his order and place Defiance Bay under indefinite martial law. The destruction of the machine atop Ter Noaneth spelled the end of the reanimated corpses in Heritage Hill. Though at first few were willing to venture into the abandoned district, it was soon cleaned out and rebuilt. The district's horrors still fresh in people's minds, it would be some time before it was fully repopulated. But eventually the lure of cheap prime land would all but erase the memory. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay. But those who had escaped the melee in the palace hearings remembered the testimonies of the strange guest who had shown up that day and absolved animancy, implicating the Leaden Key instead. The rumor spread quickly, and soon the popular belief was that the assassin had been a Leaden Key spy. When the legacy had lifted, people came to see it not as a sign that the riots had been according to the gods' wishes, as Theos had hoped, but as a confirmation that animancy had never been the source of the problem in the first place. Deerwoodans instead convinced themselves that the riots had somehow purged Defiance Bay of Leaden Key spies, and that the end of Widewind's legacy was their well-deserved reward. The rage against animancers was quickly forgotten, and those who had survived were permitted to return to Brackenberry Sanitarium and rebuild it so they might resume their studies.
Well, that's
Abidon's
good.
renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abidon's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Aer Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russet Wood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the russet wood. Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves. Free from the burden of her memory, Maneha soon left the gift-bearers and resumed adventuring. Now that she had a taste for the world, she wanted to experience it anew. Maneha rediscovered her zest for battle, extravagance, and romance. She kept her gaze on the horizon, looking from one journey to another more distant, from the lover in her arms to another more fervent. Hers was a life of excitement, violence, and passion. She moved too quickly for regret to catch up with her, and she hoped only that she might outpace it in the next life as well. The rejuvenation of Cadnua was a short-lived endeavor. While the rise of a new master had presented new hopes of the keep being restored to its former glory, time proved otherwise. Plans for maintenance of the structure were postponed time and time again, until ultimately they were scrapped together, their master's priorities lying elsewhere.
Video game.
Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfoth to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people strengthened by the Watcher's gift of souls, the Valian republics found themselves struggling to keep up with their new competitors. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics for several years. After the southern forest of Erglonfoth opened to both the republics and the Deerwood, the Valians found that the combined efforts of all three nations had created a robust trade network. The Duchessa of Biajepi granted Palagina a pardon for her foresight, though it took many years for her to regain the trust of her superiors and brothers in the Order.
We're not gonna read this one? Adir chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Direford, which, like many towns in the Deerwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it had been the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adir was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Direford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Skyenets from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Direford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adir's childhood, the one worthy of its name.
When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ix Arcanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong, and he knew what he would do better. The secret of the gods would be preserved, and with it, the sanity and well-being of all Kith. He donned the remains of Theos's ceremonial garb and prepared himself for the long and lonely task ahead. With the Watcher's goals accomplished and his own vows fulfilled,
Video game
sailed back toward Rawatai, thinking on the lessons his travels had provided him. By the time he landed at Dakoa, he understood what his path must be. Standing before the Lore College, Kanarua explained that the tablet he sought had been destroyed, and so true interpretation of the Tanvi Oratoa could no longer exist. People of Rawatai would have to create their own. He described the many strange strange things he had seen in his travels, and announced his intent
Are you
to
just
take
saying
the
that because you
initiative
don't
on
like
abroad,
elves, Sprightly?
seeking answers to new questions.
Do you want him to be
True
a
to his
villain?
word, Kana soon set sail on yet another expedition, and in Tekoa, his passionate accounts inspired many to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, with Theos defeated and the souls released from Sun and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Direwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Direford, where the astonishment of the villagers she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there with each new birth and saw a measure of hope restored in Direwood and a measure of grace for her own troubled past.
Durrance continued to blame Woodica for the atrocities of the Saints' War. Believing Magrin to have been a pawn in the machinations of the Queen that was, and feeling that Theos's expulsion had been a step towards reconciliation with his goddess, Durrance tried for a time to reopen communication with her. When only silence came, he took it as a condemnation of his continued existence.
Oh.
Ultimately, he built a pyre and threw himself upon it, using his own shattered staff as kindling. Sagani experienced the 4 months of her journey back to Masuk in vivid colors. She strove to memorize every moment of her final trip through the Deerwood, Erglonfoth, the Valian Republics, and beyond, preparing to tell her village of what she had seen on her long journey.
I hate that
All
the
of
audio
Masuk
does this.
shared in her triumph, and she felt her pride and elation magnified by the joy of her village. Never again did she doubt the value of her sacrifices. After decades as a long hunter, Sagani finally became one of Masuk's most respected elders. She guided her community with wise counsel, and a generation after she finally passed, another huntress journeyed into the world to find her soul.
Aw.
For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
And I guess that's it. This was a good game. I think my favorite part was near the end, where you were talking to all those gods and you had to make a choice. And I will do the other endings tomorrow, quote unquote other endings. I guess I don't know how much different they're going to be. And I feel like a lot of the backstories might be the same, but I guess we'll see. You know, it's worth. I definitely want to check them out, and I might as well do it on stream. Yeah, that's honestly what it felt. What it felt like. The world was really, really interesting, but man, when you were in that celestial room and you were talking to all those gods, and you even had to do favors for each and every one of them before they would even give you the time of day, I thought was really, really cool. And like some of those decisions were really hard. So I guess we'll see what the other endings bring. I don't imagine tomorrow will be a very long stream, and we'll just watch or listen as best we can if the audio doesn't get all jungled. And I don't know why it did that. It did that occasionally, but man, it hit really hard at the end game. We'll speed this up a touch. It hit really hard. And to see what that all, and it'll be very chill, and it'll just be them talking a lot. But I do want to see them, and I might as well see them with all of you. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I'm sorry I played the game so badly. It was very difficult. And I was definitely there for the story. I'll start Pillars of Eternity 2 on Tuesday of next week. So we'll do the rest of the endings tomorrow, and then I'll take that evening off. And we'll start 2 on Tuesday. Yeah, I'll take Thursday evening off, and then we'll press on from there. It's a cute little game. I highly recommend it. It definitely has some issues. There's a lot that you can do with that game. I just didn't have like the attention span or the ability, and like constantly pausing to see like to see that things get done. It's just not a play style for me. But it comes a lot more easier to other people, I imagine. But it was fun. I enjoyed it, and the story and world are so good. I hope you like them when you play them, Zath. Yeah, it's super good. And there's so many different paths and kind of person you can be. And you unlock more dialogue options just by being a different class or a different race, and like, so maybe you can get different results and whatnot, so. You could definitely pick the evil path. I'm very excited to see where that goes tomorrow. I'll watch the other endings. So if there's an ending that you want specifically for you, and don't want to be spoiled on it, you can come and watch some of them and then like peace out when that happens. So, but I want to see them. I just want people not to be spoiled if they don't want to be spoiled. But I know you have already said that you love spoilers. Yeah. What a good video game. Gosh, I've beaten a lot of video games this month. It is tricky. I will scroll through these backers even faster. They had, what did they say, like 78,000? I don't got time. And even the endings of your companions based on the decisions that you have done will drastically change some things too. So I think my companions' endings for the most part will be... Oh, Zawa didn't get an ending. That's probably because I didn't finish his quest. So I realized that the monk wasn't there. Yeah, there's definitely a balance that I was not good at. I just solved my problems with tentacles, and that seemed to be okay. But I'm sure there's more fun ways to play. Tentacles was the real MVP. Tentacles and Bear. Never forget Teddy. I just kind of want to see if there's anything at the end. I suspect there won't be. Yay! There is not. Alright. The name of the game! So I'm gonna call it here. Thank you so very much for being here and joining me on this journey. It was a lot of fun. Mildly frustrating, only in the White Marsh, really. I got my ass kicked in the White Marsh. But thank you so very, very much for being here. If you're looking for the beginning of this series or all my other series, you can find those on YouTube, which is linked in my About page, along with my Twitter and my Discord, if you want to talk about spoilers. Thank you so very, very much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow with the rest of the endings of Pillars of Eternity at 6 p.m. EST, and we'll kind of see what that goes, how that goes. It will be very chill, and we'll probably listen to the same dialogue several times over, but that is how life is. Take care and have a lovely evening. I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.